The Putin regime has been widely exploiting the vulnerabilities of global social media platforms using bots and trolls to promote specific stories and narratives. But they are not alone, and once developed, the same techniques can be used by other malicious powers, international or local, to subvert democratic institutions. The mechanics of disinformation operations are often counterintuitive. Today, we'll unpack the process and the mechanics of disinformation and people who are building solutions to make companies, society, and government more resilient against these attacks. Welcome to Silicon Curtain. Please like and subscribe to help new people find our amazing speakers. And of course, if you do enjoy the content, please do consider supporting us by becoming a patron or buy me a coffee. Yevhen Popov is an information security specialist from Ukraine. After the full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine, he focused on countering disinformation. He works for Osavul, an AI-powered security software designed to fight against information threats. Yevhen has worked as the head of the Southern Ukrainian office of the International Renaissance Foundation, which is part of the Soros Foundation. He's worked as a consultant and researcher and cooperated with the European Endowment for Democracy in Brussels, the Alliance of Democracy in Copenhagen, and ZOIS in Berlin, as well as the Democratic Study Center in Kyiv and many other organizations. Yevhen is a co-founder of the Politscanner.app, which is the most significant voting advice application in Ukraine, ivote.com.ua. Welcome to the channel. I hope that information was pretty much correct.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for a great introduction, and I hope it will be a great conversation between us.
Well, I've been absolutely fascinated by your software. I've been sort of following the company you work for, Osavul, really for the last couple of months, but you are in an early stage, aren't you, of that company's development and the solution?
Yes, we actually emerge as an organization which help our society to survive in this period and this war. And actually, the founders of Osavul and the team which working right now, it's mostly IT specialists who is brilliant minds and who works in different aspects of IT, what it's mean by general term. And we actually start to making some solutions, mostly from technical side, just to provide our organizations, government, non-government, media, the possibility to identify, counter, and analyze disinformation and narratives which is going on. So that's how we appeared, and it was like I guess, the March of 2022. So it just was after the full-scale invasion.
And the founders have backgrounds as serial entrepreneurs in the tech sector, don't they? What sort of backgrounds and developments, have they been making that makes them ideally suited to creating this kind of software?
Actually, I will answer in general term. They have a great specialization in creating different products in IT sector. Before it was launching a few successful companies and which was based on AI, big data, and working with information. So, but actually, how the soul emerged, it was like a quite few requests from different organizations to different people who now in Osavul, and so the process is started. So it's somehow response to what was going on, and actually the people who there, it's like from technical side, and unfortunately, or like how it's happened, the war is too massive, and the information attacks, it's too heavy, and a lot of tools, a lot of different software solution can be found in different aspects. It's a lot of organizations who doing some kind of things from NGO side, from media side, from government, a lot of organizations. However, now the information and attacks, it's so heavy and it's so fast, then we need some tools to work more effective in this way.
And it's true, isn't it? Russia invests a vast amount of money in information warfare. Do we have a sense of the scale of money that they are tipping into this? And which countries or regions is the main focus of their efforts?
Actually, it's a very good question because to calculate everything is very hard. But for example, last number which I heard, they invest like almost $500,000 only into networks like RT and Sputnik just from 1 year. And actually, it's give us understanding that their broader perspective is much more bigger, and it's very hard to understand what really support by finance they have. But however, right now they're trying to use their different components to attack almost all world because, for example, they're working in attacking Europe in one way, US in other way, for example, Africa right now, or so-called global South in other way, and it's also not the same strategy for every country. It's even dependent on country, and unfortunately, the modern technologies works from other side, from both sides. From one side, we can through AI components identify, analyze, and work more effective in the countering disinformation, informational attacks, and other things. From other side, we can see that to produce disinformation, you need much more effort. So right now, the technology developed in such way that, for example, some facts can be misunderstood. They can be put in different logical models. They can be supported by voice, which created by AI, by video, which created by AI, by text, which created by AI, by persons, which also can be created by AI in the understanding that it's like a person in the internet. It's not a real person, but the accounts or like the whole image of such person, it's internet related, and trust his or her trust going through internet. It's very reliable thing, and that's why the this sphere is other sphere of really inform it of war because it's totally used to kill people, and it's really having examples when such kind of informational attacks, disinformation attacks, misinformation, and other things really influence on people behavioral, people understanding of situation, people choices in real life. So that's why the sector is quite huge, and the financial resources behind it, it's also huge because it's the same as a part of war, but it's much cheaper than produce a tank in general understanding, because you can influence on territories not directly but through the different source of content.
So you're the solution. We'll get into the solution in a second, but you've got this phrase that neatly describes solution, which is information security intelligence. When you're explaining this to different people, does the meaning of that change? So, for instance, if you're talking to someone in central or local government, for instance, or education, or civic society, or a business, is it a slightly different concept depending on the audience you're addressing, and what actually is it?
So, in general, understanding this term is describe how we proceed, analyze, and work with our data, which produce in social networks, in media, in internet. So actually, it's most general understanding of this, and it's actually depends what's going on after. However, in Asavul, we're thinking about this concept in quite different direction, and we're thinking and we're describing this process not through the institution. However, like we based on institution because they have different capacity and understanding what's going on and how to react. However, actually, it's somehow a more global process. And unfortunately, if it's some informational attack on you personally, you can handle it by you personally, or I don't know, by your organization, or if you work in government, it's some topics which related to you, or if it's society in general, it's some other things which make the society in conflict. However, we're trying to build also cooperation between these institutions, because in our modern world, the different types of organization react on the same type of disinformation attack in different way. So somehow NGO and government and media will react in absolutely different way, and it's their nature. It's actually that's why we have a different types of organization and this hybridity between all of them. However, to fight disinformation properly, it can be achieved by cooperation of different types of organizations. That's why, for example, for solution side of our platforms and our tools, we can see that this organization, yeah, they can work in their own manner with these tools. However, it's also the goodwill and possibility to cooperate with others. So that's why we're also building solution to easily cooperate, to produce cooperation between different types of organization in like most easiest way and understandable for them.
Now, we know that if you look at the big picture in terms of the media, the war from 2014 through to February last year, in some ways, was an invisible war. It was not covered extensively by the media, and it was very poorly understood. Could this idea also be transitioned onto informational threats? Have organizations been asleep at the wheel while Russian disinformation and informational attacks have been evolving and getting more sophisticated? Are organizations now waking up to the scale of the threat? Or is there still a process of educating people on how they need to make their organizations more resilient?
Actually, it's going from both sides. With education, it's absolutely impossible to like to be effective on this sphere. However, what the problem with Russian disinformation and how it was spread through all these years? Our specialization is Russia itself, because we emerge as a response, and sometimes disinformation going through closed channels, or so-called invisible channels, because media is also not represented the opposition, and the people can not express their thoughts in media, or like ordinary person, or other closed communities, or so like partially closed communities, and they always have a discussion in their own environment through different internet platforms, and in different internet chats, bots, and other things. And unfortunately, this sector was almost invisible, and like not so many organizations work with this one. And we specialize on this segment, like groups and comments and any type of content we discussed in internet, and which people produce in their communication with between each other and between other things. However, a lot of agents and actors which associated with governments involved in this process. So, for example, right now it's not so hard to create a network of bots which will discuss the same topic in some, I don't know, media outlet or some chat or some channel on YouTube, and it will be bots which discuss the topic, and it's give the understanding that there's probably something important going on, or other thing, but some kind of other misinformation. And also, it's a lot of bots which just working in their autonomous manner there, and that's why it's also very important to detect them. And we also going through this process, we can detect the, for example, accounts and media which are associated with some states. We can make different analyze how it was spread. So actually, from one side, yes, it's education, but from other side, it's also technical capacity to do this, because right now the process is too heavy. And for example, what important to produce, for example, the text right now on or the network of bots, it's cheap and it's fast and it can be done in many times during the 1 hour. You can produce several attacks on different regions in different tabs with different type of content, with different type of speakers, and it will be the same narrative through different type of media. And that's why it's very easy to produce from one side. From other side, it can be detected and it can be analyzed even the prior it starts, because usually such attacks they not appears simultaneously like they do in media, because in media, when it's in some big media, it's already something which is important. But in disinformation, it's always sometimes and mostly it's used, it's developed through waves, and it starts from some small point, and it's very important to detect it on easy stage, even if it's not disinformation. It's like the general narrative which is going on.
So it could be a political narrative, but also it could, I guess, be used to undermine the reputation of specific organizations. It could be institutions. It could even be businesses. You could see this technology being used to generate, let's say, negative or critical chat around a brand, or trying to change policies, certain commercial policies. So are companies now waking up to the threat? Because, of course, a lot of their marketing, a lot of their reputation resides in the informational space. Is this something that companies are starting to think is an essential part of their sort of software armory, as it were? Or do the majority of companies still not have these kind of solutions integrated into their sort of IT capacity?
I guess this process will be can be divided also for different stages. And what is important here, that companies or states or other types of organization, they trying to use some tools to work with it. However, it's also about communication and strategy, how you use it. So in general, the soft can provide you the fast and easy access to a lot of data mm, to work with this properly, to help to analyze, to identify the problem really, to make the connections. However, it's also a humanic side, because what is important about disinformation and companies, that to produce disinformation you don't need a real person, or you need some state affiliated person who want to produce this disinformation or narrative. But in general, the attack can be produced but not real people in internet. But to react on this you need a real person, because the response is always humanic. So that's why it's some kind of asymmetry in this case, and that's why the soft excellent solutions support organizations in different way. For example, even in one type of organization, in one organization, they can have different departments, or in states, they have in state organization, they have different level of responsibility and different level of reaction. So, for example, prime minister or CEO of the firm will not say the same as it will be press secretary or head of department. However, it's very important that on all levels of reaction, they have the almost the same understanding of what's going on. So, for example, that's why we have some tools that provide to people this fast and easy access what's going on really, because even if it's the same attack, and even if it's same disinformation about you, on your level of responsibility you will react differently than other person. So, and usually in many organizations the communication takes a big process. However, with technology you can have this same understanding in minutes or hours when after it starts. So you will have the same information, the same like detection of narratives, the same understanding who was spread it, how it was spread it, through which channels, but you will react in your own way of your own responsibility inside the organization. And it's like also very important because right now the reaction is the time of reaction is crucial. Sometimes you don't need to react because the disinformation going on and it's not really reach the people. It's like it's circulated only in some close community with bots, like and other things. But when it's become real, maybe you need to react in some way. So I guess it's crucial thing for now.
And you use the phrase there, asymmetry, and I find that a fascinating concept, that informational warfare is by its very nature designed to be an asymmetrical form of attack. We look at generative AI, and of course, it's evolving very, very rapidly. One could almost look at it and say it's a sort of exponential development. That would mean that the capabilities of using AI for disinformation, also that threat potentially is exponential. Is that why it's so important for your solution to actually integrate AI into its response? And that's because a manual or human-centered response can simply not react either at speed or at the scale that is required.
Great question. Actually, I guess in this case, AI is actually help us to understand what's really going on, because sometimes the narratives or disinformation attacks not put in a direct words, or like the person can be like, if it's attack on person, this person can even not mention in the different type of content or directly, but the disinformation attack is going on him, on her, or organization, or something like that. So I guess AI capacity give us the possibility to understand the things which was not visible for us at all. So the human can't analyze where the thousands of account was created, for example. But for this technical capacity, we can do this, and it's like a simple example. What's really going on behind this? And for example, was this person real or not? It's also a very hard question because, for example, if you have thousands of messaging and all of them bots, maybe you don't need to worry about, because it's like going on through again through bots, and people do not react on this, do not watch it, and something like that. However, if it's become real, yeah, it's a problem. And from humanic side, it's also very important to detect it on early stage, as I was saying. So AI also give us like a possibility to detect and analyze some disinformation attacks or other narratives which going on in a most faster and convenient way. Because, for example, how to work with thousands of messages or other types of content, it's almost unreal. So this sphere become hardly technological from the side of production and from the side of detection. So some organization really use different types of tools. So it's like it's only on your focus and your specialization. However, like it's become more and more complicated. So through the years, and actually from 2 or 3 last years, and even maybe the year, this capacity of AI, as you said, it's incredible. So you can produce fake in a minute with voice and the person who is singing songs.
You've got a fantastic phrase that covers this, and that is coordinated inauthentic behavior. I'm absolutely, and I'm really interested to understand how it's possible to distinguish between authentic and inauthentic behavior, both in terms of the volume, scale, how these malicious information propagate, but also, are you able to dig into the narratives themselves and understand whether these are unique human voices, or whether these are kind of variants or amplifications done by generative AI?
Yeah, so I will also divide this question on two parts. So First of all, this CAB, it's not actually our term. It's like the term which created by Facebook, and it's used in social network analysis. However, this sphere is like developed. It's developing. It's not something which is already done, and it's always improving. And the people working on it and trying to understand what's going on. Be one of the companies who have this capacity and possibility to some extent understand where it was real or not real person and how they behave and other things. And from technical side, it's hard solution, but let's look on this from human side. For now, from disinformation side, a lot of possibility to create the different account which will like the post, which will trying to behave in a more natural way, but however they will always spread the disinformation. And I think everybody from who now registered in 3 or 4 social networks, for example, like Facebook and LinkedIn or Twitter, they probably have some bots which trying to influence them. If they're active in the social network. So these people, the people trying to detect other active users and trying to be the friends with them and trying to like their post and something like that. However, the process is hardly complicated. There is no one solution from nowadays, because like it's always a game from two sides. So you can detect behavior in one way, then the technology will be improved and the behavior will be another way. At least I see this process from one side, it's technical one. From second, it's also cooperation between different agents. And if some account was detected, it can be shared from different users. But we need to understand that the main responsibility here have the platforms, because they have the more data about account itself and how it was created and how it was what behavior was behind this account. So that's why it's mostly technological discussion from the platform side. From user side, unfortunately, some attacks and some bots are very complicated to detect in, or almost impossible. So we just way of looking into account and say, oh, it's real. However, if you want to make the account more complicated, you can also do it from different type of software which produce you like dozens of photo, dozens of reactions, dozens of friends, and it will be like, it will look like a normal account which liking some posts. So
And that's it's interesting, isn't it? Because on the one hand, there's tools like yours that provide, I would say, a monitor of authenticity. On the other hand, does this have to be combined with a certain level of information literacy? So is it possible to rely totally on software, or do you also really need, the public, businesses, individuals to really start to become much more sort of media or even disinformation literate?
It's also a very philosophical question in general understanding of the truth and disinformation, and what uh, relationship between these two terms, and also what is misinformation and what is like informational attack, because it's also something which have a different influence on the societies and people. From one side, yes, the people should increase their educational process. From other side, the soft can't answer the general understanding, or like it can detect something, or it will not say you what is truth, what is not. But if you see that it's informational attack, or it's some authentic behavior, or it's some influence of the other states, it provide you more information about what's really going on. Because from one thing you have these observables, like news narratives or some thesis in the general public discussion. From other side, you have these non-observables, which like bots produce content, AI produce content, informational attack, which divided from different steps and going on through half a year. For example, some complicated attacks going in such ways. For example, in Ukraine, it's moving in like too often, like it's happened too often. So, for example, this attack on president in the first stage of the war, which was created in several narratives around him. The same about Ukraine itself. You probably remember this, like Ukraine is a Nazi state. Ukraine is anti-Semitic state. Ukraine have biolabs. Ukraine want to attack Russia itself firstly. So it's almost the same narrative, and it's like moving in the same direction. However, the influence of these narratives is quite different, and the audience between them is quite different, and the way of spreading this information is quite different. So probably you want to know what's going on from not like it's not for the ordinary user side. It's just for organization who can react on this properly, or who focus on such things, or who can systematize in information and then give it to general public, or understanding what's really going on. Because sometimes the general public or the media discussion is based on some thesis which is not real, which was created just by some group of people or even one person just for fun, or like in disinformation attack, like we see it in Ukraine almost every day. It's thousands of attack on institutions, or on businesses, on bank system, for example, or personalities, or other things. So just to make the conflict between society and this type of organization decrease trust to this organization, or other type of influence inside the country. So so that's why soft is crucial in this moment, and actually the capacity of this soft, because right now, even for example, let's take a case from Ukraine. For example, if you want to understand what's people discussion in occupied territories, you probably can't really ask or make a poll in occupied territories, or like it's danger for people to truly discuss their opinion. However, yeah, we can work with posting in general social network, and understand the sentiment of some narratives or some discussion, and it also will be helpful how people feel about something, or what's going on. So in general, I see this part also from two sides. Education, yes, from one side, and people need to understand that, for example, the truth right now, it's is the concept which criticized and influenced by different philosophers, and the term itself have a different understanding. For example, people beliefs is very important there, or people background, like also educational, religious, or whatever, is also important, how they define truth. But from other side, the technical capacity give us the understanding what's really going on, what's on the ground, how we explain it. And yeah, we can believe that it's maybe also not really trustful information. However, it's also the way, and it's also very important to know, for example, who was spreading the information, what state was affiliated, and it's also the part of global picture. How like other many components which can be analyzed.
What sort of size and scale of team is required to sort of develop these solutions? Having come from a sort of tech or software company at the start of my career, I'm kind of interested to understand, what it requires to build, architect, and iterate, a solution like the one your team has developed.
Actually, we're scaling pretty fast. Like right now, we almost the team of 20 people, and it's growing. It's totally understanding that we need to engage different components to be more effective. However, right now we mostly focus on what's going on in Ukraine, and we have like the connection with every type of organization there. So that's also a part of what we are doing. We receive like regular feedback from them, and that's why like the product become more and more sophisticated, because the attacks itself become more and more sophisticated, and the different organization provide different understanding what's going on. From other side, we also see that the market itself here and the other solutions is also exists. So it's like very important to understand that, like we have like pretty great innovations in our product itself. However, even 10 years ago or 7 years ago was a company who worked with content in different types. And I guess what different from our side, that we have this understanding what's really going on, how attacks really influence, and how it was and why it was really started. And that's why we are like more effective than many others, just in the case that we have the understanding and the specialization on that. Also, the brilliant minds for Ukraine. Probably you heard that Ukrainians have a great IT specialist. Yes, it's true. So, in capacity to develop the product, you need actually the IT specialization in different segments, and it's great that in Ukraine, and especially in Asavul, we have such kind of specialists to make a solution like work properly, and to which like pretty sophisticated from the technical side, but pretty useful from user side. It's also very important that the users have this experience, because when the solution is very technical heavy, for user side it's usually also heavy. So that's why it's very important to make this process like more simple. But from other side, yes, education is very important, like strategic communication, like general understanding of political process, or about the war process, or about the focus on some specific themes, because it's also very important that the disinformation is produced from different topics. For example, anti-vaccinators, or COVID, or other things. So the disinformation going through different sources, and it's a lot of specialists who focused on some topic, not in general disinformation itself. So it's also very important to such kind of specialists to have a capacity to dig deeper and to have better understanding what's going on.
And my last question really relates very much to that. It ties in very well with it. And that is that unusually for a software company, you've got a very clear ethical statement on the website. And that statement says that you will not contribute to increasing disinformation, only reducing it. You will not create false information or be any part of that. And also, it very clearly stated that you will only work with those who have an interest in supporting democracy, transparency, rule of law, and open society. So that's an extraordinarily strong and unusual statement. How important is it for the company to have those ethics and to make them a key part, actually, of the identity of the organization?
Great question. Actually, from technical side, it's very important not to misuse technology, because as we see with many examples, the same technology can be used in bad way and good way. So we trying to be on a good side, because like right now we really fighting for our survival in Ukraine, and that's like was the reason why we appeared, actually, just to stop the other segment of the attacks on Ukraine, and help like people who facing these attacks to react like more properly, more faster, and other things. And that's why it's very important to not engage different type of bad actors to our side, just to make the company more effective and other things. So it's a huge process. We have like few stages of verification who we working with, and mostly for 1 year of existence, we invite the people to join the platform, and we just say them that we have capacity to help you, and this was like our manner of work, and that's why we have this selection procedure about who use our soft, and why it's used, because if it's organization who working with, I don't know, disinformation, or just to trying to understand how to influence better or on with a disinformation campaign, it will be something that's going in a wrong direction from this side. Also, it's very important to mention that we working with general data, we're not identifying ordinary person. For example, if we're working with every type of content, we never say who exact person was there. So if it was bot, it's just detected by bot detection, but it's not analyzing the personal data of person, and we do not say that, for example, this person behave in internet in such manner, like it's not the focus of what we are doing. And this also the very big question, because when I'm telling somebody that it's the tools exist which analyze every type of content, for example, in some chats, usually people think that, oh, they can so what I'm writing in personal manner, and who I am, and what I'm saying about something, but it's not what we are doing. So in general, we interesting more about the narratives itself, and the actors who stayed behind narratives. We don't interested in persons, and it's not our specialization, and it's not the focus which we want to bring to. So yeah, but the ethical problem here is very important, and unfortunately, but or hope like or the other side do not have this ethical problem, so they use every tool in the way to produce the conflict, to put some additional arguments against humanity, against democracies, against human will, and other types of important things in our society, I guess.
Well, it's extraordinary work you and the team are doing. I hope to be able to update the community on this channel about the sort of success that you're able to achieve and how it evolves and develops and contributes towards Ukrainian resilience, victory. And also, I think this is a powerful solution for companies and institutions in Western countries and in democracies around the world. So it'll be interesting to follow this story. But thank you so much, Evgen, for your contribution today to this episode, and for the incredible work you and your colleagues are doing.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Thank you for great questions. And I guess this discussion not ended right now, so we can discuss even more, because the topic is developed so fast, and it's always something new about the sphere itself. Thank you for this great interview.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we'll definitely revisit it. And Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава.